I mean, if you look at the headlines right now, everyone is just distracted by the day-to-day noise. But 2026 is actually the year of, well, the year of execution.
Yeah, absolutely. We're finally past all that theoretical hype from the last decade. It's becoming real-world infrastructure now.
Right. So welcome to the deep dive. To you, the listener, our learner, we are so glad you're here with us. We have a massive stack of sources today.
It's a huge stack.
Yeah, we're pulling from 2026 predictions by TRM Labs and BDO, financial frameworks from Gibson Dunn and IBS Intelligence, biotech M&A reports from ING, and even like raw market sentiment data from Binance Square.
It's a lot to get through, but it all connects.
Exactly. Our mission today is to connect the dots between these massive AI infrastructure investments, the total explosion of decentralized science or DeSci, and this wild global race to regulate stablecoins.
Because they really aren't separate things anymore. They're merging.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. To understand where the world is actually going in 2026, we have to start with the physical hardware.
Yeah, the concrete and silicon.
Because you can't have this digital revolution without data centers, right?
Right.
I was looking at this data from Futurum Research, and the CapEx, the capital expenditure, it's staggering.
Well, the numbers are insane.
$690 billion.
Yeah.
$690 billion being poured into AI infrastructure just in 2026 alone.
And that's not just regular servers. We're talking about a fundamental shift in what a data center even is.
Well, yeah, look at ARM. They just launched their AGI CPU, which is their first production silicon in, what, 35 years?
Something like that, yeah, 35 years.
And they're building it specifically to drive this agentic data center design.
Right, which is the key word here, agentic. Historically, a data center just sat there waiting for you to click a link,
You
right?
ask for a video, it sends a video.
Exactly. But agentic means these AI agents are running autonomously. They're talking to each other, running simulations, making decisions without any human input. So companies like NetX TDC are completely pivoting. They're focusing on data center interconnectivity and these mission-critical spaces.
Because the heat and power requirements must be off the charts.
Exactly. You need specialized real estate, liquid cooling, the works. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about faster computers. It's about building the cognitive engine for the entire global economy.
Right.
Everything will eventually run on this physical backbone.
I mean, I hear that, but let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Because $690 billion,
Right.
It reminds me of building the massive interstate highway system in the 1950s.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
But like, are we building this massive, hyper-expensive highway system before we even really invented the cars?
You mean, is it overbuilt?
Yeah. What if this physical footprint is just vastly overbuilt for what we actually need right now? Like, what are we actually going to use all this compute for?
Well, you don't spend nearly $700 billion just to make a slightly better, customer service chatbot.
Right. I'd hope not.
You use that compute power to solve the hardest problems humanity faces. And the biggest one, our own biology, disease.
Which perfectly transitions into the ING report we were looking at.
Yeah, the biotech stuff.
Right. So ING notes that pharma M&A mergers and acquisitions are heavily accelerating right now. Yeah. And it's mainly because of these impending patent cliffs.
Which is a huge deal for big pharma.
Yeah, they're losing exclusivity on their biggest blockbuster drugs. So they are desperate to buy up new research. But the really wild part is what's happening outside of that traditional system.
The DeSci movement.
Yes. Decentralized science. It's like this massive grassroots movement. We pulled data from Binance Square, and the smart money is aggressively rotating into DeSci.
It's completely bypassing the traditional centralized big pharma model.
Exactly. I mean, look at some of these tokens. You've got BIO, which is trading around 0.1119 to 0.1111 TAL.
Right.
They're building infrastructure where scientists actually co-own their research.
Right, instead of surrendering it to a university or a corporation.
Yeah. And VitaDO, ticker VIDA. They're tokenizing longevity research IP. Then there's Research Hub literally paying scientists in crypto to publish open source papers.
It's a total paradigm shift. And it's not just happening in the US or Europe.
No, the geography is shifting fast.
Yeah, Hong Kong is really emerging as this central hub for China's biotech globalization.
Which makes sense.
And then you have the UAE, which is doing something really wild, pioneering on-chain residency for biotech professionals.
Wait, on-chain residency. That's incredible.
Yeah, it basically removes the borders for scientific collaboration.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because of this tokenization, patients could actually start earning royalties from their own DNA.
Yes. This is the part that blows my mind.
Right, like your tokenized health data gets used by one of these AI agents to find a cancer cure,
Hmm?
and suddenly you're getting a royalty stream because you own your digital genome. It ends Big Pharma's date-keeping entirely.
It completely flips the power dynamic.
But, okay, let me push back again.
Go for it.
It sounds super empowering, right?
Yeah.
Like when indie record labels disrupted the major music studios.
Sure.
But music is one thing. This is our DNA. Isn't tokenizing your genome just a massive privacy nightmare waiting to happen?
That's the primary concern, yeah.
Because once your DNA is on a blockchain, yeah, you can't exactly change your password. It's out there forever.
It is a massive risk. But that's where the financial and cryptographic rails come into play. The DeSci space relies heavily on zero-knowledge proofs and, well, programmable money to make it secure and functional.
Which brings us to stablecoins.
Ah,
Because you can't fund this borderless, decentralized science or pay for the AI running it with slow, traditional banks.
no, a wire transfer takes days. You need money that moves at the speed of the internet.
Right. Enter the era of execution for stablecoins. Ari Rebord from TRM Labs said it perfectly. He declared 2026 the year crypto policy stops being theoretical and just becomes, quote, everyday infrastructure.
It's just the plumbing now. And if you look at the Gibson-Dunn report on global stablecoin rules, it's fascinating.
Yeah, let's talk about the Genius Act,
Right, so the U.S. passed the Genius Act back in July of 2025.
which was huge.
Massive. It requires strict one-to-one reserves for stablecoins and completely prohibits paying interest to token holders.
So no fractional reserve games.
Exactly. But contrast that globally. The EU implemented MiCA.
The markets in crypto assets regulation.
Right. And MiCA requires that 30% of a stablecoin's reserves have to be held in EU credit institutions.
So they're forcing the money into their own banks.
Yep. And the UK's 2027 rules, they demand a 40-60 split.
Wait, 40-60 of what?
40% unremunerated deposits at the central bank and 60% in UK government debt.
Wow.
And then over in Hong Kong, they're issuing their first fiat-referenced stablecoin licenses right now in March 2026.
And that requires, what, 25 million Hong Kong dollars in paid-up capital?
Exactly. What's fascinating here is governments are no longer fighting stablecoins. They're racing to co-opt them.
They're trying to absorb them into their own sovereign systems.
Precisely. They want the control.
But see, I always thought of stablecoins as the standardized shipping containers of the digital economy.
That's the ideal. Yeah.
Right, like they make global trade totally seamless. But with the U.S. essentially banning foreign issuers until 2028 and the EU pushing back against dollar dominance.
The walls are going up.
Yeah. Aren't we just creating a splinter net of money?
Yeah.
Like the whole promise of a unified global currency is just getting chopped up by geopolitical borders again.
It's a huge paradox. The technology is borderless, but the regulations are incredibly nationalistic.
Exactly.
But despite those borders, this programmable money and these AI agents, they're not just for biotech researchers or big banks.
No, it's hitting the real economy right now.
It is slamming directly into Main Street, specifically small and medium enterprises, SMEs.
And unfortunately, the criminal underworld. Let's look at the SME side first. We've got reports from IBS Intelligence and RFI Global.
Yeah, SME banking is the new battleground.
Because embedded finance platforms like Shopify and Square, they now process 30% of global consumer purchases.
30%, that's massive.
It's huge. And retail's moving aggressively toward chat-based commerce. People aren't going to traditional websites as much.
No, they're buying directly inside messaging apps.
So what does this all mean? Like, how does a traditional mom-and-pop business actually survive this digital shift?
Well, they survive because the infrastructure becomes invisible. But the problem is the criminals are using the exact same invisible infrastructure.
Right. TRM Labs had some terrifying stats on this.
Oh, the dark side of this is wild. AI-enabled scams skyrocketed 456% year over year.
456%. That's just, I mean, you can't even comprehend that jump.
Because crime has become borderless, autonomous, and instant. It's not a guy in a basement hacking a database anymore. It's an AI agent running 1,000 scams a second.
So how do you even fight that?
You have to use AI to fight the AI. TRM Labs calls it robot takeovers in compliance.
Like their Sphinx system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
TRM is deploying these AI agents like Sphinx, and they autonomously cross-reference all this blockchain data to fight AI-driven financial crime.
Without a human doing the digging.
Right. And it works. The Beacon network has already disrupted $40 million in illicit assets.
Wow.
This raises an important question. Are humans just going to become the supervisors? Like, are we just going to watch our AI agents fight other AI agents?
It sounds like a sci-fi arms race. You're basically talking about Terminators fighting Terminators over, like, small business transactions.
That's essentially what's happening under the hood.
But think about that for a second. If you're a mom-and-pop shop, trying to sell artisanal coffee online, how are you supposed to survive an ecosystem where you have to constantly defend against nation-state level AI attacks?
You can't. Not on your own.
Right. Doesn't this technology inherently favor massive corporations who can afford to buy the absolute best AI bodyguards?
It does, which is why that embedded finance piece we talked about is so crucial. The platforms, the Shopifys, the Squares, they have to provide that invisible AI security layer for the coffee shop. The small business owner won't even know that AI war is happening.
It's just built into the fee they pay.
Exactly. It's part of the plumbing now.
Man, that is. It's a lot to take in.
It really is.
Yeah.
But if you step back and synthesize everything we've looked at today, it all clicks together.
Yeah. How would you summarize the whole stack?
Think of it like an organism, that massive $690 billion AI capex sprint. That's the brain being built.
Okay.
Then DESI and the biotech boom, that's the body, the physical application of that intelligence. And these regulated global stablecoins, that's the circulatory system pumping the value through it all.
I love that analogy.
2026 is the year these three isolated tech sectors finally snap together into one cohesive executing system.
And to you, the learner, this is where it hits home. Whether you're a student or an entrepreneur or an executive, you have to look at your own industry and ask how you're going to adapt as these underlying infrastructures switch from theoretical pilots to live regulated realities.
Because the shift is happening today, the scaffolding is gone.
Exactly. And I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought to mull over.
Oh, let's hear it.
We didn't explicitly see this in the sources, but logically, if AI agents are soon going to be using stablecoins to autonomously buy and sell your tokenized health data to find disease cures, who actually owns the digital version of you?
That's a chilling thought.
Right. As the infrastructure becomes invisible, so do the gatekeepers. Keep an eye on your digital DNA because the future is already executing.